Port Jacksons and Poor Beagles, welcome, welcome. I'm trying that intro. It's based on, well, a person who's going to feature in this video a lot. And I don't know if he's going to think it's plagiarism. Probably not. He's a very chill, maybe too chill for his own good guy. The mice were nice, and the mouse was in the house. That is how I would describe my Saturday at WonderCon 2026. Okay, so, a little backstory. Actually, a lot of backstory. We're going to cut this video into some parts. I don't know which parts are going to be what, but editing me will definitely be, structuring it and providing a lot that I'm not right now. I have props for this one also, besides this. Ha-cha-cha. Was that embarrassing? Never! Okay, so, I find that WonderCon is one of the most important places I've ever been. There are a few places that matter to me more than the White House ever will. And those are Disneyland and the Anaheim Convention Center. Thankfully, they're kind of close to each other. Actually, they're very close to each other. So I could make a day of it if I wanted. Disneyland is going to be the center of a video that's coming up that I'm not going to spoil in the least bit. But the Anaheim Convention Center is, to me, a sort of perfect white and blue marble. Always in the distance, out of reach, or at least for the last 7 years? Because I originally was a WonderCon gal. I was a WonderCon kid. I was the WonderCon kid, in a way. I would go and I would dress up as something that my mother and father helped me all night to make me look like. It's not often that I would do it all myself. Actually, I don't think I ever did it myself. But I was the driving inspiration. I was the Simpsons image, do it for her or whatever. That was my parents with me at midnight the night before gluing stuff. But I'm making it sound like I did nothing. I was actually, really into it. I was the reason why I dressed up as Bill Cipher in, I think, 2013? Or 2014. And my parents definitely thought I was dressing up as a nobody, but it turned out that Bill Cipher was the talk of the town already, because Gravity Falls fandom was at its height, and, it's at a new height now, or it was recently because of the Book of Bill, but it was definitely, there were Dippers and Mabels abound, or there were at least two, at least one of each. WonderCon fulfilled all of my hopes and dreams pretty much for the year. I would dress up as something, then I would go and I would soak in nothing but the purest atmosphere of people just being what they wanted to be. Foreshadowing my relationship with the LGBTQ community and LGBTQ Center of Orange County in general, I just loved seeing people transform and then just be like this temporary community, this brief utopia. And I could not have loved it more. Well, this was all before I, turned into the woman that I am now. I was, at the time, assuming that I would grow up to be some sort of Stanley Kubrickian animator director. I've changed a lot, is the point. I could very easily get into that in another video, but I don't know if I will. While I was that other person, I went as, let's see, Bill Cipher, Star-Lord, ew, Spider-Man, yay, the Joker, ew, Reed Richards, yay, and, this has been beeping. my entire video. I'm going to put that away. So I was kind of a cosplay prodigy with a lot of help, but I still had the ambitions of a professional costumed player. And it lasted me until 2019, when I was not doing well. I went as a reporter who would hopefully get to interview other people, then didn't get to interview anyone, and then went home. Maybe the saddest day of my life. And it really did suck, because I got so fulfilled by basking in the white glow of this building from the inside and the outside, getting to observe this wonderful town of characters that wouldn't exist in 3 days. And I didn't get that in 2019. I didn't get a lot of things in 2019. Intro out of the way, I decided last year to go again and reignite the legacy. I'm going to briefly explain what last year's WonderCon thought process was like. Me and Jay got together. I said, "Oh, Jay, you know what would be cool?" He said, "Yeah, girl." I said, "If we went as the Scooby Gang with 2 other people." And he went, "Girl." And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Yeah." And then we went and searched for other people to be our Velma and Shaggy. And then we failed. We failed. We thought we had great candidates, and then both of them ended up busy in different ways. And what can you do? And then I took a little break from the idea of WonderCon and focused on myself and got even healthier. Hooray for me. Applause. Then I got back on the horse, and Jay joined me, and we came up with an entirely new cosplay idea, which was to turn the Anaheim Convention Center into the second happiest place on Earth. That's right. I mentioned Disneyland in the beginning, and it became so relevant. We were going to go as Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. I may have already confirmed that earlier in this video, but I wanted this to be a reveal. Although the important part is, Jay would be bringing his service dog, Phantom, who goes with him everywhere and is my greatest rival. And of course, he would be Pluto. Though we did briefly consider a Goofy crawling on all fours, which immediately struck fear into our hearts. So then began the process of turning ourselves into the greatest kind of married couple besides Kermit and Miss Piggy, in my humble opinion. I'm going to take this phone out so I can remind myself of the order in which all this happened. This image is going to show up later. Okay. Step 1. Yeah. Me and Jay were hanging out for a while, just kind of working on something that I find is going to be very important later, because I have a video planned. I always have a video planned. When we stopped working on that, we decided, oh darn, WonderCon is coming up very fast. So we decided to get even more on the horse and get to work. I took a little break so the camera might be in a different position than it were. Oh well. We had to get a lot of stuff in order to make us being a pair of dapper mice a reality. We had to get a suit jacket, black of course to represent Mickey's fur, a red dress in the style of Minnie's dress, at least, some gloves to make everyone really recognize us, a bow for my hair, and most importantly, a pair of black wigs that would have a few of their locks transformed into very conspicuous Mickey ears. You know? We immediately found Jay's suit jacket first row of a Goodwill, and we were like, score! Even before that, we found my dress, and we're like, score! The bow took us to a Michael's that's very near Jay's house. This may seem very unimportant, but get this. We saw this pair of disapproving dragon things. Isn't that hilarious? Aren't they hilarious? We also saw this little baby guy surrounded by maybe bullies, maybe his friends. I don't know. Eventually we found his mother. It's cool. We got to shaping Jay's wig into the Mickey Mouse silhouette, which was actually a breeze. Maybe things are just easier with Jay. I would like to point out that Jay just kind of has a way of figuring stuff out. Yeah, no sane man would ever put together some of the things that Jay's putting together in his mind. But I'm proud of him nonetheless for figuring all this stuff out all the time. Jay really jaded up so much that he actually started using, in lieu of a hairdryer, the air conditioner of his little Fullerton home. And even that turned out to be a perfect success because we brought it inside and it dried like a doll. And we thought, hey, this might all turn out perfect without a single hitch. That would not be true, but don't let that make you think that we didn't have the time of our lives. Hold on. Also, in the process of going back and forth between Michael's and Jay's house, we took this amazing picture of him being enamored with a carrot being dangled in front of his face. Makes me laugh every day. So all this was going kind of perfect. Jay was coloring his shoes to be banana yellow like Mickey's. He was prepping Phantom's harness to look Pluto-themed. We were collectively coming up with the most perfect phrase known to man, hot diggity service dog. As I previously said, it was all looking like everything would be fine forever. But soon I would find out what my parents had been protecting me from when I was a child, as far as the WonderCon process, creeping into the wee hours of the night goes. I got the hairspray from Jay, he drove it over. I started stringing up the ears and making them the same way that we did with his, with a pair of discarded yogurt containers. Hello, it's coming along. She's a bag lady. I'm sick and I don't want to get high. Today. And then it happened. The hairspray dried in all these itty-bitty little beads and granules. The whole thing looked like it had been invaded by either fleas or dandruff, and there was no way to fix it as far as I knew. Ultimately, this story is not necessarily about self-reliance, because I did end up getting a lot of help from my mother in the end. So, while I was in my first ever D&D session, my mother was trimming the ears without me knowing it. And then I came out, and they looked a little bit better. Thanks, Mom. Next year, I'm going to do it all myself. I owe that to you. And in a few months, I might even get a chance to wig up again and go out on the town, the same exact town, Anaheim, California. My favorite, because of something I'm going to mention a little bit later. Part 2. Yeah. I think the previous part I didn't call a part. I don't know what word I chose. Okay, so it was 9 in the morning. We went to Jay's house, we picked him up, I applied his nose pin-off style, and then we went on our merry way. I took a long break because my camera just didn't want to. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Our day was grand. And I don't feel bad about spoiling it, because ultimately that is the moral. Our day was grand, and it was the most fun that Jay's ever had. He said that to me. We very quickly realized that lines were a staple of WonderCon. I must have scrubbed most of them from my past memories, because I didn't have any examples on hand of times that we had to line up and sign up the way that we did. Well, the important part is that even before that, we took a bunch of awesome pictures with my mother's phone cam. these pictures are so good, in fact, that upon posting them to Instagram, an account with 800,000 followers wanted to repost them. But apparently it was a, paid promotion, which I'm not in the business of doing. Jay took me on a lot of journeys that I wasn't expecting with this con. It was very much the Jay show in a lot of ways. And I was proud of him for kind of getting into the spirit, the way that I didn't even think he would. Not that I thought he would, take the experience for granted. That's not Jay's way. But I was expecting me to be the driving force. And I wouldn't say I was. I gave him my Anaheim Convention Center pin that I got from, I think, my mother, so he could put it in his illustrious pin bag. Jay's route that he found through WonderCon led us to two notable things, and I'm just going to skip right to them. We saw a puppet show that actually was put on by someone that knows someone that I know from online. Ragmop and Goose is the name, and they apparently have done Karate Kid inspired improv with Ross from Dropout. I'm a big Dropout head. I think what they do is grand. And Ragmop and Goose, if you see this somehow, you were consummate professionals, and I salute you.
With your host, the one, the only, Honey Butter Popcorn! Hey, how's it going? We having a good time today? Yeah? All right, fantastic.
Then by the end of the day, we ended up in Artist Alley, which quickly became Jay's favorite place on Earth, rivaling Aquarium of the Pacific. We spent so much time in that alley, reveling in the unironically impressive grandeur of just what a human being can accomplish. It was so fulfilling to just look and see things that we could create that we were impressed by, because that could be me one day. I could very easily have a booth at this place, and I would in a heartbeat. Tether. I walked on up and won this very dense comic book that I will add to my very dense comic book collection. But more importantly, from Artist Alley, I got this alluring bee woman stickers of, once again, my favorite place, and some fellows from a movie called Page Master that I've never seen, but were just too cute to deny. Beast Girlfriend. You had me at Beast Girlfriend. This pin from a man who had an entire cardboard city atop his booth. And most importantly, to me, this bookmark signifying the forthcoming AnaCon. We quickly learned at the booth that I won my amazing comic at, that, my extraordinary comic at, don't laugh, that the people at said booth were running a secondary con at the Anaheim Public Library in May, and I have to say, I might go. As hard as it is to get a wig on, I might do it again, just so I can go to this nice little con in Anaheim. Other things that happened included us spotting something for my sister, who is a giant Snoopy fanatic, lover, appreciator, friend of Snoopy in the way that I'm a friend of Dorothy. And there were droids about probably doing photo ops with people that were not me. The important thing is that initially I was just going through the motions of re-experiencing WonderCon through the lens of my previous WonderCon experiences, just kind of thinking that if I did the same things that I did before, it would feel like the rigmarole of WonderCon and I would achieve maximum nostalgia. But what I learned, the more I started to look at people and the more I started to understand what they were there for, as well as what I was there for, the more I realized that the experience of WonderCon, and maybe conventions in general, but something about WonderCon is specific to that unregulated joy. Like I said earlier, there is something about people just casually being a version of their true selves that really, makes me feel like I have nothing to fear. It makes me feel like I could go anywhere in those hallowed halls and feel equally at home. People were freely interacting with each other. I got to meet a character that I enjoy a lot from Critical Role, also a little bit of a Critical Role head here. Jester, not Laura Bailey, but one might say an equally formidable Jester. There was just no sense of me being afraid to do anything. I am naturally afraid to do everything. And I felt this fade away, melt away. Like, to be honest, I've seen employees arguing with each other really loudly at Disneyland before. Even my favorite place makes me feel anxiety sometimes. So, I really appreciated how easy it was for me to bounce back and feel untaxed wonder at this place. Thank you, WonderCon 2026, and to many more. But yeah, we dropped Jay off, got in and out, and then I went home and dealt with the sheer amount of things that were attached to my head in order to attach the big thing to my head. Yikes. Let me just say, yikes. And then I went peacefully to bed and had dreams that I don't think could have been better than what I had experienced that day. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And I really do love doing stuff like this. I really think next time I should film even more. Because, let it be known, I have an idea for next WonderCon already. Correct me if I'm wrong in a year, guys, but we will very likely be dressing as a version of the Scooby-Doo gang. Probably pretty emo, I'm thinking. Maybe them as like a pop-punk band from 2007. Mystery Incorporated World Tour. I don't know. Thank you guys for watching. I really do enjoy saying stuff. Okay, good. Wrong. Bye.